Hey, this is Abith, and I'm back after, I don't know, a month or, no, probably 2 months of not really having anything to say. And, that's, I don't even have an objective of being consistent here because it's not realistic for someone like me. I don't have any consistent energy for anything. So yeah, I come on here and I speak when I'm inspired to. And the last couple of months have been kind of rough on various levels. And I mean, nothing major, but I've been dealing with some physical healing, which brought up a lot of a lot of mental anxieties and emotional things that I needed to look at and find ways to come to terms with or neutralize to be able to complete this healing cycle that I've been in. And it's not over, but it's much softer now. And it's been when our bodies are doing things we don't understand, these physical biological processes that are uncomfortable, when we've got phlegm or things building up, coming out, we're not feeling well, pain, no energy, all these kinds of things. When our bodies do this, we're only seeing the discomfort, and our minds freak out. And they've been taught to freak out since we were young. It's like, you're sick, there's something wrong with you, da da da. There's actually nothing that's wrong with us when we're going through those processes. And according to the 5 biological laws, the second biological law of Germanische Heilkunde, or Germanic New Medicine, from Dr. Hammer, studied over 40 years, proven thousands and thousands of times. I've proven it to myself through testing, observation. The second biological law is that all these biological programs we go through are bi-phasal, 2 phases. We only see the second phase. The second phase is what's called the healing phase. It's when the something that happened to us that was it's called a biological conflict shock, some dramatic event that takes us by surprise and catches us off guard. It's shocking. We got to deal with it. It feels dramatic to us, even if it's a small drama, and we feel alone to take care of it. Once that something happens, we already start this biological program where the first phase, we don't really see what's going on in the body. There are changes that are happening on a cellular level. There's changes that are happening on a psychic level, on the brain level. There are changes that can be verified on all of those levels. We just don't see it and we don't feel it. When we come to a resolution about that shock, when we find a way to resolve it, either just randomly or intuitively, or something happens to resolve whatever we experienced that was shocking to us, that's when we enter the healing phase. And that's when we have all these symptoms that are uncomfortable. And that's the only thing we see. The first part is like going through a tunnel. We don't see anything. The second part is just, the highway, and we're looking at everything. And it's uncomfortable. Healing happens in a liquid environment. So there's always inflammation, edema. It's pressing on tissues. It's pressing on nerves. It's painful. The head has edema. The brain has edema as well, so it's painful in the head. There's with that edema comes, cellular regrowth or taking away cells that have built up, and it's always, it involves microbes, and they're really busy, and what they've created, what they've taken apart, or what they're creating in terms of their waste products, that all needs to get out. And so then it's like stuff coming out of your nose, stuff coming out of your, lungs, blah, 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 and that's uncomfortable. And it's when the mind freaks out, because it's like, what's happening to this vehicle that I'm in? It's breaking down. No, it's not breaking down. It's taking care of business. Our minds are so quick to freak out about everything. And I did, even knowing what was happening in my body. I had lots of freak out moments, and it was keeping me in the healing, because then I was freaking out about my symptoms, because they were really uncomfortable. And it's really telling to just observe the mind, observe the body, and then observe the mind. When we can find this stillness, even in the midst of this seeming crisis, when we can find a stillness where we could just watch the body, and then we can watch the mind, it's such a different frequency. I could feel where my body was doing what it needed to do. It was uncomfortable, but there was no freak out in my body. The freak out was completely in my mind. Just mental anxiety, needing to figure out what happened. What is it? What are my tracks? What are my triggers? What is keeping this going? And now what's happening? And and when I could just come down below the surface and be in my body, I watched my body just soothe itself, support itself. When I let myself intuitively move, intuitively do certain things that helped me feel a little bit relieved within the symptoms, it's just a different frequency. It's really a different frequency. There's been a lot that I've been processing in the last, since the last month and a half, 2 months. It doesn't feel ripe to share. It's still maturing in me. But I've really had to face mental anxieties that can hijack me very easily if I let my mind take over. If I believe my mind, it hijacks. It really hijacks everything to the point where, I was kind of out for the count for many weeks. What we choose to believe that goes through our mind really has an effect on how we see life and what we see in life, and then what our experience of life is. It's very hard for the mind to let go of the belief that it is all-knowing, that it is clever enough to get through, to navigate this life, that it has the answers. It's very hard for the mind to let go of that role that it has put on itself, which doesn't belong to it. It's very hard to let go. The mind does not want to let go. When you can get some space and in healing processes, a lot of times you end up having to stop, and you get a chance at stillness that maybe you don't give yourself normally. There's an opportunity to look and to observe. And it's very obvious to me now that my mind is not me. It's not. The voices that go through my mind are conditioned voices that are borrowed. And they're telling me a story day in and day out to keep me in a mode of navigation in life that has nothing to do with my true uniqueness, with this true creature that is Abith. There is a dichotomy there. My mind is fed by whatever I look at around me, whatever people tell me, whatever I've been told since I was born, or watched since I was born, and then old enough to listen to and start to collect data. Our minds are data collectors, measuring this, measuring that. Oh, that's how that person does it. Oh, that's how that person says that life is lived. Oh, that's how that person shows me that what love looks like or doesn't look like, or what a relationship looks like, or what work looks like or doesn't look like. And all of this data that our mind takes in, our mind is convinced is fundamental to navigating through this Maya, this illusion, this dense illusion of matter that we live in, of matter and mind. It's a labyrinth. And the truth is that the mind just gets lost in it. Really gets lost in it. When you drop into your body and you create the space of waiting is a space of alertness, of attention to what's around you, without the psychosis of compulsive doing. It's a place where you put space. You just put space. You create space where you don't follow your mind's automatic pilot decisions. And in creating that space, you allow your body to move uniquely. And you allow your inner authority, your body consciousness, to move you. And the majority of the times, those two things are complete and utter, different realities. My mind has one life, my body has another. My body holds the uniqueness of who I am, and the uniqueness of my trajectory, my fractal, my purpose, my success. My mind, it belongs to the collective. It's the filter of this consciousness field. It's the thing that connects me to everybody else. There's value in it. Of course there is. Yeah, that's why I can share with others. Because we have a common frame of reference through our minds. But it's not me. It's not me. This is a very fundamental thing to start observing, watching, and getting a frequency feeling of. To begin to feel what is the frequency, what is the energy sensation for you when your mind is in control, or when the natural movement of your body is in control. And there are bunches of ways to explore that. have used various ways to explore that. It takes time, patience, but it's magical. So I invite you to start observing what the frequency is for you, what it feels like to you when you're in your mental masturbation. It's the best word I can think of. It's what comes to mind. Or when you're in your body, when you're really in your body and you're letting it move. Just letting it move you. Letting it wait for the invitation. Letting it wait to respond. Letting it energetically move because it must, informing others around you. Letting it sense into the cycle of the moon and the cycle and the transits and the energy all around you, and moving within that in a unique way. Whatever it is for you, whatever your aura type is. What does that feel like?